What's up, y'all? It's Turn. I didn't want to make a Ku video too soon, but Ku posted a new riddle that led to such an interesting theory that I had to share with you guys while it was fresh in my mind. So let me show you this. Now, if Game Freak does this will be very fun for the Indigo disc. So are y'all ready? This is the tweet here. He posts this picture, and I'll reveal it slowly, but on the top left, we've got a little girl here who obviously looks like Geeta, and she's surrounded by all these Glimeras, and this looks like some scientist dude. We've got a little child Geeta on the right, but you can see she looks very sad. And you can tell by what she's wearing and, you know, the label here that it kind of looks like some science experiment related stuff. Like she's one of many in this experiment. Then the middle picture is Geeta, but she's hiding under a Glimera. Which is interesting, right? It's like the idea that she's scared of something else, but the Glimera is comforting to her. She's friendly with the Glimera. You know, normally you'd think Glimera is the parasite, stay away from that, but that's what comforts her. And then many years later, we have Geeta here, much older. She's got the same thing on and she's surrounded by all these glimmets. And then you get to the final image with Geeta kind of enveloped by this Glimera. Now this is fan art. Ku doesn't usually post them, but when he does, he wants to make us think about certain things, or he uses it to hint us certain ideas. So Ku writes, "Wow, who's the artist? Do you think similar things would happen in the second DLC?" Now there's a couple of fun ideas that come from looking at this image. The main one is when you look at the bottom right and you see the Glimera enveloping her. It kind of reminds you of Lucamine and Nihilego. But no one wants Game Freak to go down that route again. And even Game Freak knows that their fans would hate the Lucamine situation to happen again. But let's take this in a few layers. So first off, Ku tweeting this is interesting because so far Geeta is very boring. There's not much to her. And I made this whole video about Geeta. Now listen, the title is weird, but it still stands to now. Okay, the title is Geeta is the third legendary Pokemon, but this was at a time before we knew anything about Terapagos, but the contents of the video are pretty much the idea that Geeta is actually a Pokemon first, and she's walking on the surface as a human, but she's not actually a human. And it's kind of crazy to think about because something like that has never happened in any Pokemon game. I guess the closest is Zoroark sometimes pretending to be a human. But the reason I said that was to give Geeta this evil undertone, like she's up to something, you know? So what I talked about in that video was how all the gym leaders hate her. She's very hard on them. Tulip says it, Larry says it. Larry has like 3 jobs because of her. The second thing I talked about is how when Nemona sees a Glimera in Area 0, she's instantly reminded of Geeta, which on the surface doesn't have to mean anything because Glimera is a Pokemon on the surface of Paldea because all of Paldea breeds that Terra energy. But what's unusual about it is the game going out of their way to mention it, which means there's some connection here, Geeta with Glimera. So pretty much the theory in that video is that whatever the third legendary is, which turns out to be Terapagos, would be heavily related to Glimera, and that's what Geeta is. Just wandering on the surface. And there's a few other things to talk about in this video, but another thing is how Geeta uses her team entirely wrong. Glimera is supposed to be her first Pokemon, but she uses it last, and then King Gambit is for sure supposed to be her last Pokemon, but she doesn't use it last. So it's almost like her title of being a champion is fake. Like she's just really on the surface trying to figure something out. And that's why she doesn't care to fight you properly as a champion, because that's not what's on her mind. She just has the top champion title to keep a scope on the region while she's, you know, up to something more suspicious. So I really liked when Ku tweeted this because the main answer I've always wanted is something related to Geeta. And when we look at all the trailers for these 2 DLCs, nothing of Geeta is brought up, and we didn't even see or hear any mention of Geeta in the first DLC, which was really sad. Though I guess while not directly related to Geeta, we did see Glimmets and Glimeras pop up at that crystal pool in Kitakami, which again makes us think about why the game went out of their way to relate Geeta to Glimera when Nemona saw it in Area 0. So I was looking at this tweet Ku made and thinking a few thoughts, and then I saw one of the comments, which is close to my theory but kind of hit me harder. It says, Geeta is probably a Glimera that wanted to become a human and got its wish granted via Terra energy and actually became the Geeta we see. Oh my frick. So listen, so this is going of course off the idea that Terapagos is a wish granting Pokemon and all the Paradox Pokemon are fake. For the longest time, I've hated this idea because after building up such an interesting mystery about these past and future Pokemon, along with the paradox of why these paradox Pokemon exist in the wrong time period before Sodom Tour pulled them out, it sounded like Game Freak was just patching a BS reason instead of having fun with the mystery they built. But I'm on board for the imagination and dream theory if Game Freak actually has fun ideas like this planned. So I wanted to tell you guys some of the fun ideas that came to mind about this, because it's very possible Terapagos is a dream Pokemon. Recently we discovered that Terapagos looks a lot like the Dreamcatcher, which I was talking about how it could be in the center of Paldea, catching everyone's dreams and building up dream energy to then use it for something. So maybe Sodom Tour will go down there and it grants them their dream Pokemon and creates the Paradox Pokemon. So here's a couple things to think about if Terapagos is a dream Pokemon and Geeta is this. If Geeta was a Glimmora that somehow got its dreams granted and turned into this humanoid form, then in a sense that means that Paradox Pokemon are dream awakened versions of Pokemon, which in the cases we know so far are themed on the past and future depending on Sodom Turo's dreams. But going by this theory, that would mean there's one more Paradox Pokemon. Geeta. She would be a Paradox Pokemon of Glimmora, just not themed on the past or future, but the theme being a human. Holy crap, wouldn't that be so weird? I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I'm warming up so deep to this dream theory. So going back to this picture, right? You know, Ku wanted to show it to us to make us think about Glimmora and Geeta here. So look at it right now. The pictures here, they don't have to be accurate to what Ku wants us to think about, because you know this has a very science undertone to it. Like Geeta was some Glimmora in Blueberry Academy that they experimented on or something. I don't think that's the direction Ku wants us to think. I think it would just be cool if, going by this idea, if it was just a random Glimmora that always wanders everywhere where there's crystals, but it was just close enough to Terapagos that it got its wish granted. Maybe, you know, and we don't know the full history of Geeta and whether, you know, she's 20 years old or more, but maybe when a certain group of humans came down to Area Zero, the Glimmora was watching closely over them, and watching them gave this Glimmora the desire to be like them. Dude, I would love it so much. If you see this picture right now, if that is a Glimmora, if that's a Paradox Glimmora, but it's a human, frick. But see, we can plug this into what we were talking about in that old video. So you know why is Geeta wearing that suit and looking so professional? She's just trying to fit in as a human. Why she's such a poo-poo champion? Because maybe she has so much potential as a Glimmora that she naturally rose that strong, but she doesn't want to be champion, so she intentionally plays around and doesn't use her team properly. You know, if you think about it, she's very involved as a human everywhere around the region. She's the chairwoman of the league. She's doing stuff directly related to the school. She created the library. You know, she's having fun designing the inside of the school. And then she's micromanaging all the gym leaders. She's so involved. Whereas a human would be like not nearly as productive as her. They'd be way more lazy. Think about it. She's so busy doing so many activities, let's just say human activities, that she doesn't even have time to participate in the tournament. Like, she's completely filled her schedule. And this also makes you think twice about why she's so hard on all the gym leaders and why all the gym leaders hate her. Maybe it's because she's not actually a human. If you think about it, human tendencies are hard to copy. We're kind of weird creatures. So if it was a Glimmora with different mindsets that was just granted this humanoid form and certain human capabilities, maybe she's not doing the best job at being human. It depends how far the dream power can grant something, because I mean, you would imagine if Terapagos made a Glimmora human, it would have human tendencies and wouldn't have these flaws. But I guess it makes for fun writing if it did have the flaws, you know, if there was obvious leaks in her character to show that she's not fully human. Which makes me feel bad for Geeta, you know, she's trying her best, she's putting on a suit, trying to have fun as a human, and everyone hates her in the region. But then, you know, keep this in your mind, and then think back to Nemona seeing a Glimmora and being reminded of Geeta. It almost hits harder. It's because she is a Glimmora. That's why the game was throwing that tease at us. And yeah, this is, you know, look at this bottom right photo. This is in a complete different direction than the Lusaminihi Lego crap, so I love it so much more. Alright, so other stuff to mention that I talked about in the video is how unusual Geeta's design is, right? She's got these flowing bits of hair, and if you look at it, especially in gameplay screenshots, it's so absurd. Like, you could take off a huge portion of her hair and she would look normal, like it was combed, but she's got it all messed up like this. So if you think about her entire character, her wearing purple and all, and her hair being a reflection of her actually being a Glamora, frick, it actually works very interestingly. It actually almost makes too much sense. I mean, the main colors she wears is purple and yellow, which is what's on Glamora. And not just the colors she wears, but the colors in her hair. I mean, what do y'all think? That's really cool, right? You can take every annoying part of her character and spin it as her just being a Glamora. I mean, you know, so far, when Game Freak made Geeta, it almost sounds like they forgot to make a champion for Scarlet and Violet's story, that they just made one last minute and plugged it in. And so they gave her no story relevance at all. If something like this turns out to be the case, it makes her way more exciting. She would be like the main plot twist reveal to reveal that Terapagos is a dream Pokemon and that all the Paradox Pokemon are fake. And about Terapagos being this imagination Pokemon, it also works with Ku mentioning there being a PK Hex-like feature, which in other words is like generating Pokemon. It all works out. So I had all these ideas in my head and I had to make a video quick because I have to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Do you think... Oh, this is so good, man. Geeta's so useless. I freaking hope this bro, I don't even care. I don't care if the Paradox Pokemon are from the past and future anymore. Now I want them to be imagination Pokemon. Bro, the main thing is I just wanted Game Freak to tell fun stories if they were gonna make an imagination Pokemon. Because so far there's such a fun mystery built up with this game and we never had an ongoing mystery like this. You know, the Sword and Shield DLCs, they never carried on the story. So I just wanted something fun to come out of the DLCs. And at this point, with something like this, Geeta being a Paradox Pokemon, this is a plot twist I'm happy for. I mean, how sad would it be if at the end of the game, like you gotta undo the Paradox phenomenon and Geeta has to go back to being a Glamora. So, about looking at this photo, right? You know how Game Freak did this thing in this game where they showed flashbacks for, you know, they kind of did it in black and white, but for the first time, actual flashbacks where you got to see Team Star a year and a half ago. Imagine they showed flashbacks of Geeta in Area Zero being turned into a human, and you get to see a little baby Geeta, you know, and then she goes to the surface, fights all the gym leaders, and rises to becoming champion because she just wants to do human things. And then also, we don't know if Pokemon have lifespans, but you know, I was saying that if she wanted to be human, that something must have motivated her, given her that desire, which we could time with Sod and Turo going down there like 10 to 15 years ago. But, and it could work because if she's not a real human, she doesn't have to age to actually be what, like 40, whatever she is now. So it could either work like that, like she's really only that old, like 15-ish. Or since we don't know how Pokemon and their lifespans work, maybe the human she witnessed coming down and wanted to be like was actually Heath than them all. And she's like actually 200 years old. Wouldn't that be freaking weird? Like everyone here is trying to find Heath's manuscripts and know what his thought process was. And she was alive to witness him. And hell yeah, I had to make this video, hear y'all's thoughts. Let's actually see if there's anything else. Oh, Cool responded to this theory. He says, hi, playwrights, huh? So playwright is like the writer or script writer of the story or play. Oh, cool. I didn't even freaking see that. Cool just said hi, writer, to the freaking idea that Geeta's a Glamora. Oh, nice. You freaking tagged me. I appreciate y'all. Keep tagging me in these. Hey, yo, Game Freak, please give Geeta some proper relevance in this DLC. I will be so happy. And y'all, make sure y'all shank that like button. Let me know your thoughts. I got more theories that I'll tell you guys later. So I'll see you on the next video. Take care.